What's up, everyone? I am not Logan, I am Justin, but we are coming with another episode of the Toadstool Boardroom, except Chris, there's no Logan. I think you know what that means.
Oh, do I?
Boom.
Boom. Welcome to the asylum.
Well, the inmates are running the asylum, everybody. As I said, I'm Justin Corice, Chris Shriver, my good buddy in this box over here. We're going to be running the show. Now, I will say, normally our approach when we have an asylum episode is to get a little crazy, have a little bit of fun. But there was a Nintendo Direct this week. Holy smokes, what a week for them to do it. As soon as our built-in boardroom chairman is gone, they drop all kinds of Nintendo news on us. So, Chris, let's get right to it. Did you watch the Nintendo Direct?
I did.
What'd you think?
Did you?
I did.
I thought it was good. I mean, obviously partner showcase, so not, like first party driven announcements or anything like that. But a lot of ports, like a lot of remakes, a lot of, I mean, it basically is just like, hey, if you have a friend that plays stuff on Steam, get ready because you're about to play all the things they've been talking about for the last year.
Yeah, it was
like
almost,
a lot of that.
Almost like a, hey, guys, this might be our last chance to port everything to Switch, so let's push it all out the door while we still can. So let's talk about a couple of the highlights. The Yakuza Kiwami collection is coming. Have you played any of the Yakuza games?
I haven't. They're on my to-do. I've heard from many people that it's right up my alley, honestly. But they just look very silly. Like every time people that I know that have played them send me stuff from them. I'm like, man, I really do need to make time for this. I've
tried a couple of times, and they're fun. They're silly. I love how much the neighborhoods that you're in are a character. They're really big and long though, and that's always a struggle for me. Like just big, long RPGs and things like that. So I don't know that I've ever made it to the end of it. They also announced Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, which I know other people know a lot about the series. I've never played a Rune Factory game before.
I don't know anything about them, but I know, I saw a lot of people on Twitter were very excited that this was announced, and more power to them. They've had a few Rune Factory games on Switch at this point, but again, I don't know enough about the franchise to really speak to it.
Yeah. I'll tell you a franchise that I'll bet you have some opinions on is Castlevania. They announced the Dominus collection, which is bringing ports of Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Order of Ecclesia? Question mark on the pronunciation. What do you think about these ones?
I mean, Dawn of Sorrow, I feel like is one of the more revered Castlevania games, at least as far as the DS era is concerned.
It's a classic DS game, from the name.
Yeah, right. I never put that together.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They. I mean, obviously the GBA ones, there was a lot of love for them. We already got those ports, but I feel like this was the next logical step. Somebody in the Discord was saying they're surprised that we haven't seen what was the PlayStation 1, where the world flips.
Yeah, Dawn of Sorrow or Aria of whomever.
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen that one yet. People are going to be like, "Are you kidding me?"
Leaving us in charge here.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So I, as a geriatric gamer, I grew up with the Castlevania games. I had 1 and 3 on my NES. I did eventually play 2, which is not a good game. But as we've established on the show, I'm also not a huge portable gamer. I'm not gonna say mobile gamer. I'm not a huge handheld gamer, and so even though I had a DS, I pretty much skipped these titles. And so this is a chance for me to go back and play them in a more comfortable setting. And I will say, anytime I've had the chance to play GBA games or DS games on Switch ports, it's been a really good experience. I can play a little bit handheld, but they look good on the big. Excuse me, they look good on the big screen. So this is one that I'm pretty excited to dive into.
Yeah, and I'm glad, like you said, they're going to do that thing where almost like the Luigi's Mansion or any of the Nintendo ports that we've seen, like a DS to a console situation. Because I think that bottom screen was just the map, if I remember correctly. Okay. So no, really happy to see these are coming. Symphony of the Night was the game that
Symphony of the Night
brain farted on. Yeah,
there's a lot of In our defense, they've made a lot of Castlevania games.
They have.
Also, the Netflix anime is excellent. Are you a Suikoden guy?
Suikoden is one of those games that I've heard Jared Petty talk about for like
That's literally
15 years.
exactly why I know about Suikoden. Is Jared Petty talking about like Suikoden
Yeah.
2 especially.
Yeah, I remember buying them on the Vita on the PSN, and I was like, I'm going to play these someday, and I never did. And now they're remaking them, and I'm like, I probably still won't play them. It's crazy the number of JRPGs like the Switch has at this point.
Exactly what I was going to say. Honestly, like a lot of this direct, like because we don't need to necessarily read off every title. A lot of this direct is very JRPG focused. If you are a JRPG sicko, you are eating well. Also, if you're a sicko, the Asylum is the right place to be. But they announced some Sea of Stars DLC. Have you played Sea of Stars?
No,
Yeah.
I want to, but yeah.
Like that is so Secret of Mana coded, and that is one of my favorite games of all time. So at some point when I have some spare time, hopefully after PAX, I'm going to try and actually dive into that. One that several friends of mine are extremely excited for is the Tails port. I think it's a Trails port, like Trails in the Sky, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if Scott White is a good buddy of mine. He preaches these like crazy. So does Cam Hawkins. In fact, I'm going to see both of them at PAX. They're probably going to tell me I need to play this game. I started it. I bought it on Steam, and I got pretty deep into it, like 10 hours. And it's a very, very good, like cool kind of classic style RPG. It's got a couple of cool conceits, and I'm curious to see whether it maintained those. So like it has, how in like Final Fantasy or whatever, you have like your limit break meter that builds up, or you're like overdrive in Final Fantasy X. There's kind of a similar mechanic in Trails in the Sky, except there's basically a big red button, and it's generally turn-based, but when your meter's full, you can literally hit that big red button anytime. So it's like, even if it's not your turn, even if they're in the middle of an attack, or even if like you hit them and it's about to be their turn and you want to finish them off, you hit them, you hit that big red button and you immediately do a super move. It's really cool and adds a really interesting like strategic element to the combat. And like, I know, at least for me, and I'm sure people who have played this a ton know the meta way to use it, but I would always be like, all right, I think there's a boss fight coming ahead, so I'm gonna go beat up some like mobs to try and fill up the meter, just so I have this like at the ready if like S goes down. So yeah, I'm excited about that one, and I will say, like, even as somebody who like likes these older games, the idea of there being a remake makes it more appealing. I feel more inclined to play through it. I know that there's a lot of really big games in this series. Like, this is one of those ones where it's like people either didn't play it or it's their favorite series of all time, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of in between. The Tales series, just like
generally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, they that seems to be the case. Like, they're like quiet Final Fantasy fans, the people that love the Tales series. Yeah, there's been a few. What was it? Tales of Arise, I think, was the one that like came out on PS5 or whatever.
Legend of Heroes. That is the series name, I think. Overall.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like it's like, Chris, you know how you know if somebody is a Legend of Heroes fan?
How?
They tell you.
Yeah. It's like being a vegan.
Yeah, exactly. Like you will find out if you sit down and talk video games with somebody who is a fan of the series. They will. You could be talking about racing games. You could be talking about sports, or like you could be talking about Fortnite. Somehow they're going to slip this game into that conversation, which I respect.
100%.
A few other ones. Pizza Tower. I know there was some buzz in our Discord about Pizza Tower. Seems folks pretty excited about that.
Yeah, Pizza Tower was, I mean, people have been asking for this to be ported to Switch, like, basically since it was in early access on Steam.
I've never played it. What is Pizza Tower?
Oh, man. So Pizza Tower is it's a Wario Land-like. So if you played, like, Wario Land 4 specifically, because I don't remember
I see why you're into it.
Oh, yeah. But the whole, like, deal is you get to the end of the level, you try to get there as quickly as you can, and you like knock a block out of what is the Pizza Tower, and you have to exit the level as quickly as you can before it comes crumbling down and you lose. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, then you have to like start all over again. But it's like very it's like Twitch platforming gameplay. Like you have to like react really quickly. There's hidden secrets everywhere that like you can use different abilities to like try and find other secret levels or like upgrades, and there's a lot of layers to it. And there's a ranking system as far as like how you
say.
There you go. Yeah, there's a ranking system of like if you like B rank, S tier, and then there's like the P ranking, and that's basically like if you can achieve P ranking, like you're God among men. And some of the runs of that are really really fun to watch. So it's Wario Land fans, like there really hasn't been much for them over the past few years. And Pizza Tower coming to Switch is hopefully, like, we're seeing this a lot with a lot of different franchises. X Zodiac and Aero GPX. They're like the Star Fox and F-Zero equivalents, and like this is your Wario Land one. There's another one that's coming out too that the name's escaping me. That I think was at one of the previous Nintendo Directs. But yeah, Pizza Tower out now, and then they're doing a physical release. Fangamer's doing a physical release next year, and it comes with a little kitchen timer of Giuseppe,
Nice.
Who's that main character.
I love, like, I'm not the hugest collector of like physical stuff nowadays, but I do like when they have like creative or like cute like nods in like the physical editions. I think a little timer like that's great. You know what else is great is approximately 1 million crossovers with Balatro. Apparently, they announced. Like,
I know.
Like The Witcher, like Vampire Survivors. I saw Among Us. Like I don't know. Like I don't know if we're in there at this point. Like there's so many crossovers.
Yeah, I mean, good for the guy that made Balatro, because like, that game is just popped off. Like it's pretty incredible. But yeah, and it goes beyond cosmetics. Like apparently there are some abilities like within those card packs with the different characters that you use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think which is neat. At one point, I think I saw Geralt like slice the whole deck in half.
Right,
and so it seems to be like, it doesn't seem like it's purely an aesthetic thing. It's not like you just buy a pack of cards that have like these characters on them. It seems like it leans into kind of the character and what's unique about him. At one point, there was, I think I saw the Among Us imposter in a king like eat a bunch of cards. It's cute and it's fun, and honestly, I think that it's a cool way for like, especially for like small things, like they've got a Dave the Diver like integration stuff. It's a really cool way for them to like kind of help each other out. It's like, rising tide lifts all boats, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean it reminds me a lot of like when Shovel Knight was appearing in every game imaginable. Like, it's kind of
literally everything.
Energy. Yeah. No, it's good for that game.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff that came out in the Direct, like some fighting game collections and things like that. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you that you're really excited about?
One game that I've never played, but like after seeing gameplay of it, because I think this type of game. So Peglin is what I'm getting at here. Like my wife and I are huge Peggle fans, and she's a huge RPG fan, and I wasn't aware. Like I had seen the little guy from Peglin, like a little Yoda looking guy. I had no idea what that game was, and after watching gameplay, I was like, oh wow, this is right up her alley. So we may end up actually picking that up for her. It's like it's like Peggle, but the more pegs that you hit when you drop that ball, you like, on the bottom of the screen, a game of Peggle is happening, and then at the top, there's like an RPG battle that's happening. So like you're filling up a meter of like how much attack or whatever it is that you can do. Like I haven't played it; I'm just going off the trailer, but like it seems like it's like your MP basically is like filling up. Depending on how well, when you drop that ball, how well your move is going to be, or how good your move is going to be. So it's like Peggle and then some, which is super cute. So she might get a real kick out of that. Neva is like the big game for me.
That was going to be the one I was going to mention if you did it. This was like one of the very first games that they showed in the Direct. And honestly, it knocked my socks off. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's by the people who made Grease?
Yes.
Grease. Make sure I pronounce that right. If you haven't checked out the trailer, check it out. It has a very gorgeous 2D art style. I mean, it is beautiful. The trailer was like amazing. The music is really, really good. According to this article, it's described as an emotionally charged action adventure from the visionary team behind the critically acclaimed Grease. Like, watching it, to me, it conjured up like so many of the most interesting aspects of something like Ori. Like we saw like a person moving around, like a dog figure moving around. So almost reminds me of like Never Alone to an extent, which is a game that I mentioned before. I think honestly, of everything that was announced, this is probably the one thing I'm the most excited for.
Yeah, I would put this up there as far as like indie games that I'm looking forward to playing before the year is over. It's like this and Plucky Squire, but Neva's like it almost looks like Grease with combat, because I think that was Grease is one of my favorite indie games to have come out this last generation. I think the soundtrack's incredible.
I haven't played Grease. All right, so sell me on Grease.
Oh yeah, I mean Grease is like it's a pretty short experience. But you are basically going through this girl as this girl's like, it's almost it seems like it, you know, however you interpret it, it's like her interpretation of grief, like all the different stages of grief, and you may go into like a specific area and have to there's like very light platforming challenges, but like nothing too crazy. There's some puzzles that you have to solve, or like you may have to like move a block, or I remember there's one part where there's like a little guy that like collects apples for you, and there's like some weight stuff you have to do, like simple puzzles like that. Yeah. But it's like very chill, and the soundtrack is just very like ethereal, and the whole deal is like you start out and the whole world is in black and white. Like you lose all the color in the opening cutscene, and the game is in black and white. And as you progress every level, you earn another color. So like you'll get blue, and then you'll get greens, and like the world around you will shape itself. As that those colors are introduced, and like the watercolor effects like are filled out. So it's a really beautiful game. But a lot of the criticism that it got was like it was very simple. Like they definitely invested a lot of their time like in the art direction, in the engine that kind of like makes it look the way that it does. And now that they have all that and they know what they're doing with it, you have that. Okay, well, what's the next step?
Right, the next evolution. Yeah, and I will say that the thing about Neva, like that, the art style really stands out. It has like almost a Studio Ghibli kind of look to it. Like you see these like weird masked monsters that kind of like at least like give a little bit of a sense of kind of like the no face like monsters from Spirited Away. And like it does a really cool job of using like flat colors in that like they'll use like a single color for like a large area and like really layering those on top of each other. It comes out like in October. Like I didn't even know this existed.
I had no idea it was that soon. Like they dropped the release date and I kind of panicked a little bit because I was like, I need to make time to be able to play this. Like that is one I will stay up late. I will do whatever I have to do to play that game, because like Grease, it's a game that I think about like pretty often. It's a soundtrack I listen to at least once a week. Like it's incredible.
Wow. So like you are.
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Boy, that might be worth checking out.
It's probably cheap now, like especially on Steam. Yeah,
that's true. So honestly, there were so many announcements. There's probably a million things that we're missing. A number of ports, the Power Wash Simulator stuff that they're doing with Shrek looks really fun.
Funny.
Yeah. Some more like Metal Slug Tactics. There's a lot. There's a lot. It was. It's
kind of overwhelming.
Quite a bit to announce. Yeah. Yeah. So overall thoughts. We had a lot of conversation amongst ourselves about like what this giant direct in the middle of like late August means, because this is not a typical direct. If you listen to the show for a long time, you know that we usually know approximately when a direct is going to drop. Like Nintendo has very fixed patterns they like to stick to, and this goes against pattern. So I want to pose a question to you, Chris. How do you interpret this XL direct that they dropped in the middle of seemingly nowhere?
I mean, I think there's a few ways to look at it. It's like you said at the beginning of the show, where these third parties, these indie developers are coming out and saying, all right, this is like the last push to really get our games out the door before the next console. I guess what they expect will be the next console launch. Not that the day the Switch 2 drops, like no games are ever coming to Switch, but like I think there's also probably like a lot of these third parties said, like, we're probably betting on Nintendo not having a lot this year.
Yeah.
Because at the time we didn't really know. Like they pulled the same thing this year that they pulled last year, where the year started and the three of us looked at each other and went, well, hopefully they have something, because if they don't, then
right.
it's going to be pretty light year for Switch players. And that's not the case. Like it's the exact opposite, especially if you're a JRPG fan. Like, my God, the amount of content that you have to play. Like, I don't envy you. It's scary. Yeah, I feel like it's that. Like, I think you have that, and you have a lot of you have companies like Capcom that they are sitting on so much IP, and they have so many games that are in development that I think they probably have to generate revenue through other means.
Yeah, and
they're probably finding that like these fighting game collections are generated. They probably don't cost much to put together, and they're making enough money to like boost sales numbers overall. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like a lot of these like bigger third party companies, like they're only pushing out maybe 1 or 2 big games a year if they're lucky. Capcom is probably the exception, actually, but I mean that
Capcom low-key is the best third party developer on the planet right now.
They really are.
And that's with the Monster Hunter coming up, so I think they're killing it. Yeah, I'm a little bit like, I slightly have the tinfoil mushroom cap on right now, supporting the conspiracy theory that they're basically emptying everything out in anticipation of potentially showing us the Switch successor sooner rather than later. And I know we've been burned by this before, but like it really does feel like there can't be much left in the cupboards after this. Like, and again, this is an atypical time for them to do this announcement. And it was a double direct. It was like an indie/partner direct. They showed so much stuff. To me, it feels like this is their chance to have all of this stuff announced. And to me, the best case scenario would be in a few months, potentially before the end of the year, give us details on the Switch successor, especially if you can say, oh, hey, you are absolutely like welcome to buy all this software over the holiday season because we're going to actually have like real backwards support and compatibility. And also Switch price cut. Like, to me, that is the perfect recipe for them to finish this generation on a massive run. And I don't know, maybe I'm fanficking it a little bit, but when you tie enough string around enough push pins in a map, you start to see connections. That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know that they'll do a price cut. Like, I could see them doing a bundle.
Could you imagine them literally going the entire generation without a
and
price
never
cut?
doing one?
Just never. They just don't.
Well,
such
I haven't looked
thing.
in a while. Did they run out of those Zelda pre-orders? Those like the Switch Lights?
So
like, did they sell out?
There definitely was an initial sellout, but I remember more people being able to make purchases after that. So I don't know what the restocking strategy is, or like how the demand planning is on that. I mean, I can't imagine that they're not going to sell through those though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just maybe it's just maybe I'm getting more practical, but like, how many of these things are we going to own? Like, I've got 3 Switches that I purchased over the life cycle of this console. And
I mean, so my counterpoint though is like my wife and I were literally talking like last week. Oh man, do we need to buy our daughter a Switch?
Oh well, I think that's what it is. Is like it's been out for long enough that people with kids are like, oh man, they're getting older, and I know the next one's coming. Like,
I mean, like,
and people keep buying them.
The generation's been long enough for people to be born and then be old enough to have like a Switch Lite at this point.
It's literally, it's all my nieces and nephews are in that boat. It's crazy.
Yeah. Good planning ahead, Nintendo. So that I think that's it on the Nintendo Directs. I cannot wait to see what form, like whatever the next thing they announce, however that looks. We had a museum Direct. Like I don't know what's next.
It's not going to be a movie. Well, no, I can't even say that. Like, it could be something that isn't the Super Mario movie.
It could literally be a like Nintendo movie Direct where we get like, a trailer of one thing, then like a behind the scenes, then a teaser of something.
Yeah, They could
Who
do
knows?
like a
Lego
Zelda movie
Direct.
thing. Like, here's concept art. Here's
Yeah.
that. Here's what we're thinking it's going to be about. I could see that.
Yeah, an early look at a prop of some kind, or okay, like or
When do you
a teaser, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just
When do you
slow
think they'll
panning
show us
shot
the
of a
console?
sword in a pedestal? Oh God.
Yeah.
Again,
do you-
my conspiracy theory is we'll hear about it this year, but I'll bet they save a reveal for next year, or maybe the Game Awards.
I don't think they need to do it at the Game Awards. I think they
need to
show.
either. They're just stuck.
I feel like I don't know. I don't know what to expect from them anymore. Like, I feel like we've literally spent the last year like they have to be done, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Is like I don't know. Like if I've learned anything, it is that they're gonna do whatever they want, and they're probably gonna be right. So
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys do
So
you.
funny.
Yeah. Have you seen the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer?
I did see the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer. Where are you at with the Sonic movies?
I am not one of the like lifelong Sonic fans, and
Okay.
Sonic's another interesting one where it's like I think a lot of people like me, like I played Sonic 1 and 2, and I've played some like Sonic 3 and like little things.
Sure.
Like I'm not a Sonic super fan, but like I've got goodwill towards the series. I had a lot of fun with Sonic 2 in particular, like playing with my brother and like co-oping it and stuff. I thought the first movie was really, really fun. I thought the second movie was even better. But this trailer was awesome. I don't even know who Shadow is. Like that's how bad of a Sonic fan I am. I remember there was a Shadow the Hedgehog game and all that, and I don't know, maybe he has a gun and or something like that. But like the trailer had me sold. Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog is amazing. Like I don't know how. Like apparently he turned down a Star Wars part to do this.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like so like. Legend has it that he was going to have be in the Acolyte, and then it was going to interfere with this, or he turned it down so he could take this on. Like Jim Carrey was effectively going to retire, and then he's done a whole bunch of Eggman since then. Like Idris Elba, like talked about how he was going all in on his role as Knuckles. I don't know what it is about this franchise, but somehow it gets these hooks and these amazing actors, and they like go all in on it, and it's so funny that it's this, but it really does. I feel like they keep churning out really good movies, though.
Yeah, like it somehow works. Like I think for an actor, it's got to be fun in the sense that like it's so over the top and goofy, and like there aren't that many opportunities in Hollywood. If you're a Keanu Reeves or an Idris Elba, like there probably aren't that many opportunities for you to do that outside of like if Illumination has a movie or Pixar or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Duke Kaboom. That was a while ago.
Like Keanu in Toy Story. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, so I was a pretty huge Sonic fan, especially in the Dreamcast days. Like, this is like the year of Shadow. Like, if you were a Shadow fan, like it is. Oh my god,
it's going incredible. Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, because for a while there, like he was a big deal, and then I feel like Shadow the Hedgehog came out, and it was pretty cringe. Like it's the most edgelord piece of media I think I've ever seen. You know, he has the gun, and he's like super brooding, and like that was when like emo was really big.
Yep.
And you know now
My Chemical Sonic. Oh my god,
yeah, My Chemical Sonic.
Like, that could be a level. My Chemical Zone.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, listeners. This is what happens when Logan's away. You got to deal with even more of my jokes.
More dad jokes that you can handle. Nah, I mean, he's a fun anti-hero though, for sure. Originally somebody had done like an AI voiceover of Hayden Christensen doing his voice, and he sounds
a lot
like
of people seem interested
similar.
in Hayden Christensen for the role, and I think he would have been great for that too.
Yeah, it would have worked super well. But like, if I'm making the movie and I'm trying to sell tickets, like a name like Keanu Reeves, if he's interested, like I'm picking him. Oh, unfortunately,
if he gives you the option, like, and I will say, like, I'm one of those people, like, if he's in a movie, I'm interested, like,
100%.
That's good enough. Like honestly, so I just fairly recently started like a big replay of Cyberpunk 2077. And I'd gotten extremely far in it, and I hadn't finished it. And then they did the big like 2.0 update, and they added the DLC. Speaking of like Keanu and Idris Elba, And
Yeah,
so
they're both in that.
and so like yeah, they totally changed things like the skill system, so I wanted to go back into it. So I just started from scratch, and he's so good in it. Like Kenner is like he's an extremely capable voice actor, and he's one of those a lot of times voice actors like when they stunt cast actors like it's just like the guy doing his voice, and it's not that good.
Yeah.
And like even at like in the case of the Mario movie, at best you didn't mess up, right? Whereas like these guys like actually do a really fabulous job, and voice acting is a distinct skill in and of itself, and one that like I have a lot of respect for, and they really seem to like go for it and do a great job.
No, they're super invested. You can tell, and I feel like part of the reason they're doing it is because they're having fun. They're like fans of the medium themselves to some extent, or they know somebody that is, and they're like doing it for them. Like Jim Carrey, like he's doing it for his grandkids. Like he said that in a bunch of interviews at this point. Because otherwise, you're right. Like he's also said he's like, no, I think I'm done. Yeah. And then they keep saying they want to make more Sonic movies. He's like, yeah, I mean, I'll do that. That's fine.
And so he's like, great, I'll take 2 in the next movie, and he's playing 2 roles.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if you're a fan of like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and like that whole plot that plays out there with Shadow the Hedgehog, like there's a lot in this trailer that happens in that game. And like I was in a group text and somebody was asking like, who's so and so like that shows up, and I was like, I can't like. There's a lot that they showed for like big Sonic fans, but me telling you who that is like a pretty big spoiler, and I'm not going to do that. So no, I think they're doing a great job. Like when we first saw that first like cringy Sonic with the teeth,
ugly Sonic,
like, ugly Sonic,
Shadow's
like,
ugly Sonic.
When we first saw that,
did you? So these were circulating on Twitter. Did you see some of the ugly Shadow renders that people made?
No.
Oh my god, it's so funny. It's like again, they took the model and exactly like deformed it into the ugly Sonic style. It's so good.
Oh my god. Yeah, so. I mean, no, I'm glad that franchise is going where it is. Like it's fun because like. Sonic fans had a really bad run there for a while, and it's exciting to see them like between this and then Sonic Generations getting Shadow content this year. It's like one of the best Sonic games ever made. No, I'm super happy for them.
Sonic fans eating well. All right,
man.
All right, our next story, Chris. I would describe it as maybe a little extra. And I'm gonna guess that you're the one who dropped this in here. Talk to me about Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is definitely a Chris Shriver story. So Super Mario Eclipse is the biggest Super Mario Sunshine mod that has ever been created. And like I've been seeing videos of this for years, like different builds of it being released. And I woke up Monday morning, opened up YouTube, and I guess I'd subscribed to their like YouTube channel or whatever. But they finally dropped like the fully done like build of this mod, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a basically a brand new Super Mario Sunshine that you could play on PC, or if you get it ported over to a GameCube or whatever. I think it'll run on a GameCube, but it's supposed to be like brutally difficult. And not that Sunshine is an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But there's like a lot of stuff that they've added in. You can play as Luigi. You can play as that guy who like who's the guy with the pink? I can't remember his name, but like he's got like the pink hat. He's like the little man that you do races with. I can't remember his name, but yeah, you can play as him. I haven't played it yet. I do plan on checking it out at some point. But if you're at all into like the modding scene, Super Mario Eclipse is what you want to look up. There's a trailer on YouTube. You can just find it there, and then they have a Discord. People will help you like get the build set up and all that if you're technically inclined.
What's the main GameCube emulator people use? Is that Dolphin?
Yeah, Dolphin is going to be your main. If you're playing on PC, Mac, Linux, I mean, Dolphin's on pretty much everything at this point. If you're going to go Dolphin, don't run the stable build. Run the nightly build. They haven't updated the stable build of Dolphin in like 4 years, and I don't know why.
Chris Schreiber, don't run the stable build.
Don't run the stable build.
Yeah. These giant mods are really interesting. I know, like you guys, I kind of mentioned last week. Like I reviewed Fallout London, which is effectively this kind of concept.
Insane.
Built on Fallout 4, like literally, great. We got an engine and guts, but we're literally going to build an entire game on top of this. It's so ambitious, and like you have like the brain behind these things. They're so smart, and like they so often show like so much like clever things that I feel like game design conventions like sometimes get in the way of. And I love seeing stuff like this, and like hopefully Nintendo plays nice like Bethesda does, and doesn't raise any stink about this. I love things like that, and I think that long term, as long as you're not doing anything that is like particularly contrary to the brand, it's like it's good. It's like it gets people talking about your game. It's free advertising, and in particular, like we've seen how big the community pops up around people making ultra hard Mario content. Like that's what people watch Mario Maker videos for, is people doing ridiculously hard things. And so like I think it's so cool like to do this in a like fully 3D Mario, even if you have to do it in an unofficial way.
Oh yeah, I mean up until this point, to my knowledge at least, like we've really only seen this as far as a 3D Mario is concerned in Mario 64, and there's a lot. Like there's like Last Impact and a bunch of different Mario 64 mods out there. But Sunshine being a GameCube game, like obviously there's probably more involved in modding something like that.
I always wonder if there's something weird about the GameCube, because we never get,
like architecture wise.
Yeah, because we never get GameCube ports. Like those, like every generation, that one's further and further back, and we still don't really get like there's not a GameCube page necessarily in just the eShop like there is for everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean So the other thing you have to think about too is like with the Wii. So the Wii is basically just like a bit of a souped up GameCube. Like it's not much different. That's why it was able to run GameCube games. Like architecturally, like it was just like a faster CPU, but like only ever so slightly. But like you see Wii ports to Wii U and not Wii U, but like to Switch like pretty often.
Yeah, and like I feel like the Wii U was actually had a really good, like they did a lot of like HD ports basically of GameCube games.
Right.
But like where are those? Like why can't, like, not to ring the Wind Waker HD bell yet again, but like
no, but I mean it's a valid question. Like I don't know why they're, especially like Metroid Prime, like there's for the longest time it was like we'll go play Metroid Prime Trilogy on Wii.
It from scratch for us to play.
Right. Yeah, they were like, no, we're gonna build it from the ground up, and now they have people that are super excited about this franchise. They're gonna release the fourth one, then you have people that have never played 2 and 3, and it's like cool. You're forcing them to either have to buy old hardware or pirate it.
Right. It's like making only episode 1 and 4 of Star Wars available. Yeah, figure out the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fill in the blanks.
You don't need to watch the Battle of Mustafar. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, okay, dude. As much as people like malign,
that fight is sick.
Oh man, that fight is so good. I'm glad we're on the same page with that one. Yeah. Speak of things that I think you and I are on the same page with. News heavy show. What can I say? It's the Asylum. We do what we want. Yeah. Did you hear the GameStop news that they're bringing in retro GameStop stores? What do you think about that?
So I wondered if they were going to do this because for the last couple of years, GameStop has been like, you've been able to buy GameCube games, and for a while you couldn't. Like, I don't know what they did with these games for the longest time. Yeah. If they just like, were holding them in a warehouse. Like,
now that I think about it, I remember the stack outs of the little cardboard boxes with like old consoles in them and stuff. Yeah,
like there was a period where it would be like, okay, you can only trade up or trade in GameCube games to a certain point, and then you just can't. And it's like, well, they're not selling them, so where are they? And then little by little, they started selling them on the website again. And now I guess they have, I mean, it's probably twofold, right? Like they either own retail space and are like, well, people aren't coming in for the crap that we bought from ThinkGeek and like all the stuff that they were generating for us. That's true. And there's this like shift to, well, how do you get people to come into a store when everything is digitally available anymore? And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's no secret that the retro game scene popped off over COVID.
Yeah.
What sucks is like, you're looking at games that, like Twilight Princess is still like $90 if you try to get it at GameStop right now on GameCube. So it's like you're basically doing the whole scalper thing. It's just they're doing it at a corporate level.
It's a pretty good summation of how trade-ins work with GameStop anyway. Yeah, I'm kind of two minds of it. Like, on the one hand, like, if this does, like, make retro gaming more available, like, in more places, easier for people to get to, I think that that's generally a good thing. At the same time, like, I love my little neighborhood mom-and-pop game stores where you go in, and honestly, there's piles of stuff. Like, and stuff from every generation, and, like, I'm really, like... And I don't think this will, because, frankly, I don't think GameStop is that good at business. But, like, I don't want this to put any of that in danger, you know?
I don't know that it will necessarily. Yeah. Like, at least in people our age, like I feel like at this point, if you're into retro game collecting, like, you have a shop that's local that you're like, oh yeah, I know so and so. I've been going there for 15 years. Like,
Chris,
what?
What's your shop?
It's Classic Game Junkie. It's in Glenside. Frank's the man. He has another location in Lansdale. Yeah. I had a buddy that lived in the apartment above it for years. He just moved out and got a house. What's up, Ted, if you're listening? But yeah, he shout out to Ted. Like, shout out to Ted, shout out to Frank and everybody at Game Junkie.
What up, Frank?
Yeah. But like, if I'm going shopping for something that like that isn't hyper specific, or I just have like money burning in my pocket, like, these days are kind of behind me at this point. Like, I need to trim down my collection more than grow it. I'm going there first, and then I'm going to a convention, and then I'm going to eBay. Like, yeah, because like, at least the eBay thing, it's like the impulse buy. But like, I'm never going to go on GameStop's website and be like, oh man, like, I hope I can get a deal on XD Gale of Darkness. Like, that's never going to happen. Like, it's always going to be $150 or whatever. Probably.
I definitely expect you'll probably get the worst deals.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the other worry, is that, like, I also worry that, you know, we always make jokes about poor trade-in credit from GameStop, and so I certainly am afraid we're going to see people who have pretty valuable, like, classic things that they take in and get, frankly, kind of raked over the coals for, because, you know, it's a big brick and mortar, offers them pennies on the dollar for stuff that, with a little bit of legwork, you could either sell to a mom and pop or in Facebook Marketplace or eBay for, you know, like a healthy sum. So,
but at this point, like, you should know that, right? Yeah. Like, I feel like everybody kind of knows, like, GameStop's going to rake you over the coals to some extent.
I don't know. I think it's kind of it's a slippery slope to, like, want to be welcoming and open to, like, onboarding somebody into, like, certain hobbies, into things like the concept of retro gaming, and also be like, well, you should be an expert and you should know all this stuff. Like,
sure, yeah,
I think we should, like,
that's fair.
Open the window a little bit more from them. And besides, if you're gonna sell, if you're gonna sell some of that stuff on the cheap, sell it to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Chris has some storage bins you could add a couple more things to.
Yeah, I got enough. I got more boxes I can fill. By the way, if anyone's wondering what is happening behind me here,
I was kind of wondering what was happening behind you.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the Discord, but it's a cluster. So what I started doing over the weekend was reorganizing my basement because I picked up a 32-inch Sony Trinitron from 2003. And that's what's going. So that desk used to be to my right, where all these arcade cabinets are.
Sturdy.
So the TV's going there. But behind that is where all my storage is, and I was going to set up a workout bench, and now I don't have enough room for the workout bench. But I got to finish
up the Trinitron.
I know. I got to finish setting all the Trinitron stuff up, and then I have to, like, figure out where all these boxes are going, what I'm keeping, and all that. But, like, I was in the middle of doing it, and then we had plans, and I had to stop, and, like, that was on Sunday, and I haven't been home all week, so I got I had to pick up a dolly yesterday and straps because I can't pick the thing up. Like, it's insane how heavy it is.
They are incredible how heavy they are.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm probably going to try strapping it and getting it down here and all that. But yeah, every time I get on the call with work, like, if it's not blurred, like, people get on and they're like, whoa. And I'm like, it doesn't always look like this. I'm sorry.
Are you okay? Are you only eating food out of cans? Like... So there you have it.
There's my mess.
All right. Last topic before we move on to some listener emails, assuming we have some time. I did want to mention something that I've been playing on the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Oftentimes, our adventure gaming aficionados, Logan, and he loves talking about his Professor Layton's and his Ace Attorneys and things like that. But I have been diving into a visual novel lately, and it's one that I'm really excited about. And it is the Fate Stay Night remaster, which, if you're a big anime nerd like I am, the Fate series is a series of several different anime that are extremely high quality, made like, I think UFO Table does like the animation for most of these projects, so they look incredible. And they have this like cool premise of effectively like it's almost like a Wizard Hunger Games. It's like there are 7 wizards. Each wizard gets to summon a servant, and the servants each come from one of 7 different classes, and each one is a historical figure. So, like, one servant is Hercules, one servant is King Arthur, but with an interesting twist. And, like, I'm not somebody who sits through a lot of visual novels, but I like the anime a lot, and it just came out really recently for Switch, and I think this is the first time it's had an official English translation. It's one of those visual novels that got like a fan English translation many, many years ago. But I'm such a big fan of the anime that I picked up, and I am really digging it. It is so good. It's divided into 3 routes. So like there's 3 different paths that the story can take. And like it just has each, like they're just their own entire thing. Like at a certain point it is like having one game that is like, it's like if when you got to the end of Ocarina of Time, it just continued down one of each of the 3 timelines as you went through the rest of it.
Is it like a choose your own adventure thing, or is it like
a little bit? Yeah, and so
okay.
And again, I'm not somebody who is generally into a lot of visual novels because I like my stuff a little bit more interactive. But yeah, and like sometimes there's a whole lot rapid fire. Sometimes they're hours apart. But like, yeah, you come across decision moments and choose your own adventure, and it will absolutely do the thing where you will choose wrong and like the main character will die, and then you'll get the screen that says bad end or something like that. And so there's like a lot of branching paths that can happen, and so there is a little bit of like not really a puzzle element to it, but like for the most part, you know what choices are going to make you die and which ones aren't. But sometimes like you don't. And even that's kind of fun to see, like, oh, well, I just got skewered. All right, well, I'm going to go back a couple hours.
I was going to say, it almost sounds like you're describing like Until Dawn, where it's like, you make a certain choice. And
that's not a bad comparison. I think Until Dawn has more choices, but like, I think Until Dawn is like the modern equivalent of a visual novel. Just in movie form, but like, yeah, and like, this it's voiced in Japanese with English text on screen. It has some really nice little features, like, you have various speeds of like auto scroll you can do if you don't want to have to click the button. I love the fact that I can throw it in the dock. So like, I was watching / reading / being in the room of it last night. Had my little drink mix and like just on the TV, like while everybody else is in bed, but then I can throw it in the Switch and like consume it that way. I guess that's my long way of saying, as somebody who doesn't normally consume visual novels, 1, I might need to look into it a little bit more, and 2, holy smokes, is the Switch really good for it, and 3, if you watched like the Fate anime, check this out. It's only $30, and it's rad. It's also on Steam, and it's got beautiful artwork, really cool music, good voice acting. I think, since I don't speak Japanese, I'm having a shockingly good time for somebody who normally gets put to sleep by these things.
That's really cool. Now, I mean, that's been my experience the past, at least the past couple years that I've tried to do a visual novel. I am going to give MEO a shake, because I did pre-order it, and it seems like it's reviewing well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, the actual critical consensus seems to be really high.
Yeah. And it's like, we're coming into spooky season, so we'll give that a shot.
Good time for
that. No, that's cool. Like, I like, because there is a part of me that like really likes the idea of, obviously I love playing video games, but like I don't necessarily want to be in this basement for my entire life when I'm either working or my son is asleep.
Yeah.
So like the idea of like cozying up on the couch while my wife is reading or whatever, and like I'm reading, but it's just like in digital form to some extent. I could see the appeal to that. Like, or like even after everybody goes to bed, like, like make yourself a little cocktail, sitting down and getting all cozy and reading a spooky thing or anime, I definitely see the appeal there for
Honestly,
sure.
I never thought about that, but like, I'll bet horror visual novels are awesome. Like,
Oh yeah,
because like you could.
I
Do
mean,
something with
like
the
even
music and
you played Persona 4.
yeah,
Like even the beginning of that is like pretty.
that's true. Yeah, like very
know?
moody. Well, and like the late game too. Like when S starts to go down, like it was very moody and dark and foggy and things like that. But like
Yeah.
I'll bet you could do like horror on visual novels. So listeners, if you know of any good horror visual novels to check out, whether it's on Switch or elsewhere, let me know. Shoot us an email. Hit us on Twitter. What's the email address? I always get it wrong.
Toadstool Boardroom. It's confusing because the X account is Toadstool BR.
Yeah, so I think that's what gets me.
Yeah.
So
Toadstool Boardroom at Gmail is going to be the email address.
Yeah, shoot us your recommendations for like other visual novels to check out, because it's like my eyes might be opening a little bit.
That's awesome.
Maybe I should check out Emio then. Oh, maybe we should do like a Emio book club.
What if we played Emio and Logan didn't? How funny would that be?
How
If he was
great
just
would
like,
that
I'm not
be?
going to play it.
Yep.
Or he comes back, he's like, that game was terrible. I played the first
man.
3 chapters in the demo, and you and I were just like, it's incredible.
And apparently,
I love that.
like what if it literally gets incredible from like chapter 4 on?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love it. So let's finish with a couple of listener emails. This first one is from our good friend Red Stag Gaming. It says, "Hello Boardroom. I was looking this weekend at selling some games that I don't play on Switch anymore, and was just curious if you guys knew why Super Mario 3D All Stars is now trending at selling around 80 to 100. I assume that's dollars US. It's even 85 pre-owned at GameStop. Just curious your thoughts on it." And that to me sounds like a Chris Schreiber question.
I mean, the easy answer is obviously that game. So that game was a timed exclusive, both digitally and physically. They're not reproducing it. You cannot buy it on the eShop anymore, so it is in limited quantities. Honestly, if I had to, they're not pushing them out anymore. For a while, you could get them. Like they said, like I feel like after a year that they said they were stopped producing it. Like stores still had it, but that's not the case now. And I think there were quite a few people, myself included, that bought more than one copy, that are holding on to it. And now they're like, "Ooh, look at the shiny thing I have. I'm not selling any of mine yet. I'll probably wait like 10 or 15 years for it just because I'm a psycho. I'll never sell it, let's be real." But they, honestly, I think a lot of it's because people want to play Mario games right now, and there really aren't that many new ones that have come out this year. Like, as far as 3D Mario games are concerned, like the Switch this year has been pretty light for platformer fans. And I think if you have a kid that's like super into Mario Odyssey and has played 3D World, and they're like, "Yeah, but Dad, I want more." Like that's the only one that you really have at that point if you only have a Switch, outside of like Mario 64 on NSO.
Yeah, I don't think I had so I knew that the physical release was limited time. I don't think I realized that the digital one was a limited release as well.
Yeah,
that's kind of messed up.
I mean, that was the whole hubbub when that was happening. Everyone was like, "Why are you doing this?" Like, it's Mario. Like people are gonna buy it.
Mario Galaxy. Like, is this the only way to play Mario Galaxy on modern consoles?
Right. Well, yeah, if you get that version of it. I mean, otherwise you're getting a copy on Wii and you're playing it on a Wii or Wii U. But or PC. But yeah.
Wow.
Like it's a weird situation. Weird. They're like, "No, we want it to be like this celebratory thing," and like they wanted to make a big,
which is fine, like
artificial scarcity thing.
Like, but I like then put it in a gold case or something. But like, at least let us like buy these things. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Weird. But I get my answer makes perfect sense though. If it's literally a finite, limited quantity out there, that'll definitely drive up the price.
The same thing happened with 3D, or no, I'm sorry, not 3D All Stars, but Super Mario All Stars on the Wii. All that was like a ROM dump of the SNES Super Mario All Stars that they put out. They just put it on a disc. But
I always kind of hated this. Like, I know a lot of people like it. I kind of hated that version of like Mario of those Mario games because they'd all use like the Mario 3 assets and stuff, and so like everybody looked wrong to me.
Every time I play it, I think like, you know what, maybe I'll play it because like it's supposed to look better.
Yeah.
And then when I play it, I feel like I'm playing like a bootleg version of Mario.
That's how I felt. It's like, no, that's not
right.
it. That's not it.
Yeah.
All right, our next one is Red Tea House. If we assume that the very earliest we could have the follow-up to the Switch is April, that potentially leaves a couple slots open for another title from Nintendo, depending on their plans for Pokemon Legends, ZA, and Metroid Prime 4. Is that like Z Alpha or something? I think a brand new title from any IP would be unrealistic, but there could be room for a remaster/remake. Of the franchises yet to have a release on Switch, Star Fox seems to me to be the most blatant omission. Which entry do you think would be the best choice to close the Switch cycle with a fresh coat of paint? I personally think a version of Assault with online multiplayer and modern control sensibilities would be perfect. So what do you think? What if Nintendo's going to squeeze out one more revisiting of an IP or a remaster or a remake to close it out?
Are they asking which Star Fox game or which game?
No. Like it could be a Star Fox game, but like, you know, I would say realistically, we're probably looking at like what Nintendo owned IP could they hit one more time before the generation's over, possibly in just a remake or a remaster, as sort of a swan song or like, you know, one last like first party thing to hit on the way out.
I mean, it's got to be Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, right? Like, no, I mean, so it doesn't necessarily have to. Like, there's a lot of Zelda games on Switch.
Especially because they have a Zelda game out. Like,
yeah,
Echoes of Wisdom actually might make that kind of a tough sell. I mean, we've talked about how tragic it is that they haven't revisited the best of Donkey Kong Country in a while.
Well, I mean, you're getting HD. Well, the best of Donkey Kong Country. Yeah.
Like, imagine a Donkey Kong Country HD coming out.
Like the original Donkey Kong Country?
Yeah, they did it for Mario RPG.
If they repackaged the trilogy of Donkey Kong Country games,
1, 2, and 3,
I would lose my mind. Oh my God, I would lose my mind if they did that. I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
That would be, oh my God, that'd be incredible.
There's our vote.
The problem is they're on NSO. Like, I don't know that they'll ever do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, but again, like Super Mario RPG has been fairly accessible for quite a while, and then that got like a very, very like built from scratch remake just this past year.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. Like, it's kind of like a broken record. Like, I feel like there are very obvious ones that I think we all want, or we kind of expected would have happened by now, especially like with the last Direct. F-Zero GX, Kid Icarus Uprising, Metroid Prime 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. Those are like, and I would say Star Fox Zero. I think if they fix the controls in that game plays incredibly well on Steam Deck, whether you want to believe me or not. If honestly, they fix the controls of that game, like
a beautiful but functionally identical playing version of just Star Fox, I would love that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I adore that game. I love the like different paths you can choose. I love that you can do certain things and get knocked off your path and end up in the black hole. And like all the different bosses were really cool. Like I think R-Wings are just amazing. It's got great level design no matter what Logan says. Like just make that beautiful, and I think that would be rad.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. A lot of people like to throw out Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, case in point.
That's one that like, I'm sorry guys, that game does not control well. Like, at all. I think if they fixed it, like maybe, but like that game is real hard to go back to and play. It's like playing GoldenEye now. Like it's real rough.
Yeah. Oh, that got a pretty good remake. It's amazing how much easier that game becomes when you can aim and shoot.
Right. Yeah, when movement and aiming isn't the same stick.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Once they figure that out.
Yeah. Once that was invented later.
Yeah.
But Chris, I think that's it. I think that's time. I think they're ready to shut down the asylum for the day.
I think so.
All right. So before we sign off, Chris, what are you up to? Where can we find you? Who are you? You can
find me on Twitter at... Who are you? You can find me on Twitter or X at Shrives93 and all over the internet. It is Labor Day weekend. Happy Labor Day for anybody that is off on Monday. Hope you take some time to relax a little bit. I will hopefully be setting up this CRT, so you don't have to look at this giant pile of crap behind me on the next record. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, otherwise, don't really have anything else going on. What do you got going on?
I just hope you don't get crushed under that thing.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, so it's going to be a busy week heading up to PAX West. Logan's going to join me there. Maybe I can even convince him to tweet some stuff on the official Toadstool BR Twitter account. We're going to see, we got some appointments to see some Nintendo games,
Nice.
including a certain princess that you may be familiar with. Also going to check out a lot of other stuff, like excited to see Monster Hunter Wilds, and honestly just see everybody at PAX. PAX is always a good time. If you've never had the chance to do something like a PAX, it's so much fun. It's like... It's great to be around, like, in a place where, like, yeah, there's a lot of people, but, like, they're all there because they love gaming and things like that. And it's so easy to, like, strike up conversations about, like, everybody's favorite games. And you see, like, shirts that you are familiar with, cool cosplay and things like that. I love PAX, so I'm looking forward to that. I've got at least one guide video going up on IGN for Star Wars Outlaws coming out. So if you're playing that game, I've been playing a ton of that. I don't know. I think the embargo is over. Yeah, in fact, I think the review is up. I didn't do the review, but I think it's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Otherwise, just find me on Twitter at KOREIS, and yes, I'm going to continue calling that Twitter. But that's going to do it for another episode of the Toadstool Asylum, aka the Toadstool Boardroom. In the immortal words of our official Toadstool Boardroom,
Head chair. I don't know what you.
Yeah. Flame on.